Running a travel business can be overwhelming, but imagine if there was a single tool that helped you look professional, stay organized, was easy to use, and affordable. That's just what Travefy does. Travefy gives you the essential tools you need to look like a travel biz pro. Travefy is the most trusted system used by over 30,000 travel brands worldwide. So get started with a system that helps you get back to the joy of planning travel and run your travel business like a pro with Travefy.
Hi, I'm Mary Beth Lynn, your systems and delegation coach, and I love getting to help travel advisors go from overwhelmed to being in control CEOs. I have a bunch of free resources for you as you go through Prep for Wave Week. You can scan the QR code or text the number below. I want to send you a couple really awesome things that are going to help you not be overwhelmed when the wave hits.
Hello, hello, Prepper Wave Weekers. First of all, thank you so much for being here and signing up for the event. I am just so stinking excited. We're here at year 5. Not only that, today is Operations Day, so we're here on day 2. If my face, my voice is brand new to you, my name is Rita M. Perez. I am the host of the event this week. So super duper thank you for being here. If my voice does sound familiar, that's probably because you might have been listening to the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast, as I am also the host of that podcast. And I'm just a huge avid fan of the travel industry and making resources and also putting in resources that are already out there available to you so that you are better able to operate your business. I am like really psyched about this topic. It's not any sort of topic that I've spoken about before. I don't know if anybody else has covered something like this before, but something that I have consistently talked about throughout this past year is that 2025 is the year of humanity. Meaning that in the age where there's lots of AI use, and I know I'm increasing my AI usage, what's going to make you different is you. What's going to make your difference is you and the humanity of yourself. So that's why, I just have to start off by saying, like, we are beating the bots. So how can you really audit this client experience so that your clients are going to rave about working with you? And I do have a little case study, not within the travel industry, but I have a case study that we're going to go over so that at least it'll help you kind of like identify what does a client experience mean? What does it kind of look like? So, why do I feel that a client experience really beats the bots every time? Well, and not only that, but this is a client experience is going to beat like an OTA, a big box store, because they're not thinking about these kinds of things. Those are all transaction type of places. Whereas when you're really thinking about the human experience, the client experience, you are taking in all the different nuance that you know about your client, that your client has told you, and that you also know about whatever trip it is that you are trying to plan. There are just certain things that bots aren't even going to think about in the process. And these are, I'm going to call them, thanks to my really great friend Emily, little happies. And you just can't get this from like working with a machine or just doing a transaction like here's the money, here's the trip. It just doesn't happen. This is what makes you extra special. And you're also going to find this is what's going to make you more special than maybe another travel advisor as well, or at least stand out from another travel advisor, is this client experience. So again, if you're new around here, my name is Rita M. Perez. Lots of fun things here. I am currently enjoying the new series on Stars, Blood of My Blood. So if you're also a huge Outlander fan, let me know and we can gab on that. Other things that I'm known for is I'm the founder of the Cruise Content Library, and I also put on my first summer Camp at Sea event last year. So anything that has to do with content creation, marketing, fun events, I'm your person. So, what does the client experience really include? I've kind of broken these up in the different big parts that I kind of see. So we have what's happening pre-trip. We're we're going over what's happening during a trip and then also post the trip. I'm not really talking too much about like the marketing funnel or sales funnel. A lot of these things kind of fall in that line. I'm really talking about those touch points that you have when you're working with your client. So pre a trip, definitely this includes your marketing presence because your client experience does happen, does start working before a client has even worked with you. So for the case study that I'm about to show you, these people made me feel special. They made me feel a part of their business even before I ever stepped foot in their business. This is a brick and mortar business. So this is even though like many of you, many of us as travel entrepreneurs do not have like a brick and mortar business, this is what that digital presence really helps you to have is that like how are you making people feel on your social media? What are you saying when you're going to in-person events and networking? So thinking about, especially when we come over to the audit side of this, what does your website look like, feel like? What does your social media, same questions. What does it look like, feel like? Like what does your overall digital presence look like and feel like? What is your discovery call process like? It like do you have is everything like do you even do a discovery call? Does it all have to be face to face? Is it a phone call? Similarly with your inquiry form, how does that look? Is it branded to you or did you just use the template that came with your CRM? That makes a huge difference in the client experience and helping people to feel special. This is, and we'll cover this a little bit more. Like client experience is all about how special and how seen and heard that your client feels. Because the more that you invest in those types of things, the more they are apt to come back to you, to rave about you to all their friends as well. Similarly, if you're having a landing page for a specific trip or a specific group, what information does that include? And I'm immediately thinking like if you have special dietary needs or your group has special dietary needs, have you already outlined that? Like are there special menus that are being created? Like this is the information that you can put on there. Are there certain restaurants in the destination that they need to know about that you're going to pinpoint them to? Are there apps? Because I know Atlee is a gluten-free app. Are there apps that you can point them to that can help them find these types of dining experiences as well? And then of course your process, which does include your agreements and invoices. And what does that look like? It's what it looks like, but also what does it feel? Like, is it easy? Is the software that you're using easy? Are you even using software? I hope you are. I mean, I remember the days back in the 2010s where we were using everything like was scanned in, printed, scanned back, and all that. So at least a lot of these tech are making that process a lot more smooth and streamlined. During what does your itinerary creation process look like? How involved do you want your client to be in that process? Are you asking questions every step of the way, or are there certain touch points where you ask them? Are you communicating that information with them? How are you then presenting your itineraries? Which, if you need some pointers, on sales day, day 4, Whitney Schindler session, really great pointers for this. So stay tuned to that one. Also, how are you upselling? Because it's not only enough to like give them exactly what they want. You want to make them feel heard by like keeping within their budget and all that. But also, are there any things that maybe they didn't tell you that you can add on to this trip within their guidelines that will just like chef's kiss, like it'll like throw everything out of the water? So thinking about those things, what communication, like how often are you communicating? Have you given them the information? Like if you don't hear from me in 48 hours, please make sure to follow up with me. So giving them those little updates and then also communicating like, hey, something happened, we have to switch hotels, or hey, there might be a travel ban, or we have to get this specific visa or this licensing, something's changed. So staying in communication, being on the lookout for your client. So any updates and then deadlines, of course. And a lot of these things, if you are using one of these tech tools, it makes it so much easier because you're able to automate this process. So again, taking brain space away from you, really putting your time and focus on creating a really great client experience, and you have the tech working for you and sending out these deadlines and updates to your clients. the booking process. What does that look like? And that also takes into consideration the vendors that you are using. Are they aligned with what your client is needing, what they've requested? After you've booked the trip, they've come on home, following up, making sure it's not just like, you're home, yay, now I get my commission check. It is making sure, like, did everything go well from that for them? Is there something that they need to know? Is there something that you need to know? So making sure that you're doing some sort of item in the follow-up. Are you asking for reviews or testimonials at this point? Because that is also super important. And then I added the little happies here. And for me, this means like, are you sending out those happy fun birthday cards that I always like to talk about, as well as like holiday cards? We've got the holidays coming up. Maybe you don't send like a Christmas or a Hanukkah card, but maybe you send like a gratitude card in for Thanksgiving and in November. So that's an idea. Also thinking ahead. Again, this goes along with feeling like that somebody has seen me and heard me. In your client standpoint, have they already told you like what their next bucket list trip might be, or what their next occasion that they're celebrating is? Maybe you found like a special offer that immediately makes you think of them. Being able to think ahead and be like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. blah, blah, blah. Like, I remember that you had said Galapagos was high on your list, and I just got this really great offer that might work for you if you're interested in sailing Galapagos. Let me know what you think. I mean, if somebody was going to think about me in advance for that, because I feel like that's acts of service, and I'm very much in acts of service, like somebody who is thoughtful and thought ahead for me as well. So these are just a couple of the touch points when I say client experience that really are involved in that process. These all help to set the expectations for your clients and also your referral partners so people know exactly what your process is. They can already think ahead. Like I remember when I was talking a lot on my cruise retreat podcast, I would be like sharing different points of the planning process. And so when I would work with retreat clients, they would come to me and like, they're like, yeah, I just listened to your podcast on that. I know exactly how this is supposed to go. So that also helps you because you don't have to answer as many questions. So that kind of eliminates, a lot of like these FAQ things if you're utilizing marketing content in these different pieces to help walk people through what your process might be like and help them answer any questions ahead of time instead of waiting until they get working with you. So here is my example. You may have seen me talk about this recently on Instagram. One of my favorite places to go in Orlando is this paint studio called Abstract Orlando. This is actually a wine bottle lamp. It's called Halo that I painted recently. And also just beautiful that it came out. But this is so much more than just a painting experience. This is such a people experience. So some of the things that they do and have done to make sure that there's utmost, like hospitality is their number, like that's one of their biggest pillars within their business, and it exudes in every step of the process. So before you even get to Abstract, they do have a brick and mortar, but they're also super active on social media. They're always sharing client pieces. Like this was actually my piece that they shared on social media. They're always also sharing like pieces of the process. Like you pick out your piece, then we take care of your colors, you start getting all messy with your paints and all that. So they preview that so you know exactly kind of what to expect. Also, they have a technology, like a booking piece on their end that kind of guides you through what the booking process is. One, it's a smoothing booking process, but then also like they give you a heads up on the post, like you're not going to take your piece home that day. It's going to take a couple days to dry. We also need to keep it because we like to resin the piece. So super high as far as like communication touch points going on here. So that is the pre. So you're already kind of feeling like you're in the know because they're sharing things on social media with you and you're also prepared. It doesn't come out of the blue that, oh my gosh, what do you mean I can't take my piece home today? Because they've already outlined that before you even get to the studio. once you're at the studio, I mean, the ambiance is impeccable. I mean, it's beautiful studio. It is very clean. Also, once you get to the back, like when you're really ready, so there's like a pre and there's like let's get into it. So they have like a lobby, very neat. You can see all the different projects. You can see all the different colors, all the different mediums and things that you can use and put together. And then when you get back to the studio, they give you like the apron to set up so that you don't mess up your clothes. There's also places to store any items, like if you have your phone, purse, or anything. And then they put your piece, they give you the paints. There's also like fun music going around. So it's a whole, you can see this is like whole experience that you're having. It's not just like go there, paint something, go home, the end. They, because they exude hospitality, they hire like the best kinds of people. So thinking about that as well, like what can you do to improve your own hospitality within your business? There's always happy, friendly, helpful faces. And especially for something like this where you're a little bit like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like this is going to be a little imperfect. I feel like your travel clients might feel the same thing, is that I just really hope that this trip goes as well and as smoothly as possible. And it's your job to help bring reassurance. And that's kind of what the instructors do at Abstract, to reassure, this is what the paint is supposed to do. You can always like cover it up and do it all over again. So how are you reassuring your clients that they're making the best decisions for them based on what they wanted this trip to look like? At the end, after you're done, you put your apron back up. They go ahead, take care of your pieces, but you don't leave empty-handed. You get a sweet little treat, and I won't spoil what that is, but you do get a cute little sweet little treat before you go. They obviously are saying tons of thank you, sharing tons of gratitude, and you just leave in such a positive and happy spirit. And it's kind of like they are so hospitable that you also want to share and exude that. And you want to have an experience like that as well for your clients. And then of course there is like this resin process. It's really nice because they do show a lot of this happening on social media. So those behind the scenes also giving you some marketing ideas for yourself. And then post, great. You come back to the studio to pick up if that's what you're doing, because they can also ship out. Great conversation, genuine caring, like the packaging that they give you everything in is so beautiful, and it doesn't feel cheap. So, and it is not a cheap experience, but all these different touch points really help elevate what this thing is, this experience is. And I also want you to put that into consideration, like when you're thinking about pricing your services and pricing your planning fee or any fee that you might have. What does a 250 service fee feel like? What does a $750 per trip service fee feel like? Like, what does that experience feel like? Because it's not just the price tag, it's what you're getting both tangibly and intangibly from that as well. So keep that top of mind, because I also do not want you to be selling yourself short when it comes to pricing those things for yourself. And then again, packaged with care. Just that wine bottle was packaged in like this beautiful painted box, and I don't know what I'm going to use with it currently, but I can't wait to use it and just keep it and have it around as like memories of that occasion as well. So I hope this kind of helps give you just a little bit roundup of different touch points that you can have within your client experience. So how exactly can you create raving fans? Well, I hope you have tons of ideas kind of brewing in your head right now. But really at the core of it is that people want to feel cared for when they're working with a professional. Think about like when you're working with somebody who is painting your house or is cutting your lawn. You want, like, you're putting a lot of trust in them that you don't have to go and like second guess, like, did they do the right thing? So making sure that you're really caring for your clients in that aspect. They want to be seen. So at Abstract, they do celebrate different special occasions. So if you have a birthday, they're going to have like a cupcake with a candle out there. So that's why I'm always a huge proponent of being able to celebrate people's birthdays and like the holidays with different cards and like those tactile touch points, because a lot of what we do is so digital. It really stands out when you have those tactile pieces. People want to feel like they belong, and that's kind of how what you're exuding within your client experience. This also helps like if you're really working with somebody that's a match, because you may be working with somebody high end, but you're not that high end. You like luxury things, but you're a little bit more down to earth than what this high end client might be like. So there might be a misalignment. So that's also why it's important to like speak on these things a little bit ahead of time to prepare people so that they can also self-identify. Are you the right person I should be working with? And vice versa. People want to feel amazing. So especially when you're thinking about a trip, depending on what that trip, like the meaning, the point of that trip, the feelings that people want to feel on that trip, they're going to feel a little bit different. But for the most part, like when they come back from a trip, they want to be like, that was the best trip ever. I can't believe we did all these things. I can't believe our travel advisor read our mind and had us go to a painting workshop. I love being tactical. I love being able to bring back souvenirs that actually mean something to me. So those are the things, like how can you make sure that the client experience that you're providing is leaving your clients feeling really amazing? And then of course, like if you've nailed those four, that's reason enough for somebody to keep coming back and back again to your services, and like you are their travel pro for life. And so this is also part of what makes it helpful for somebody to be changed into a raving fan, is that you've nailed all these things and they're like, of course, like I wouldn't even dream of working with anybody else. On top of that, they're like, I need to share this with all my friends, which is exactly why I created a reel to share what I loved about Abstract Orlando with you all, because I'm a fan for life and I can't wait to even do my next project with them. You want your travel clients feeling the exact same way. Something else that Abstract does is that they're constantly asking for feedback. So they have a broadcast channel on Instagram. If they ever have any ideas, they just plop it in there. So it's not like open for everybody to see, but they plop their ideas in the broadcast channel to be like, hey, is this something that you would be interested in? Is this something that you would do? And people kind of vote and put their input from there, which is we're coming kind of full scale to the auditing part of this. So you can conduct a self audit or you can conduct an audit with other people. So a self audit, and auditing is important because auditing keeps us on our game. So it helps us just become better and better as business owners. I'm a huge fan of gaining feedback because I know a lot of the things I do are amazing, but I also know that I can do better at things and that maybe I have fallen short on this section or this section. So that's why I'm a huge fan, because I can't know where I'm falling short if I'm not asking for that feedback and checking in. So that is the whole point of like why I wanted to also focus on this auditing part. And so you can do the self audit or you can do a group audit. A self audit, I feel, is very important. Like there's certain things that I'm looking at here on this list that I've created for you that even I'm like, yeah, I could do a little bit better for some of these things. So when you're looking at your own, when you think of the pre-trip, does your inquiry form need to be adjusted? Do you have maybe too many questions and you got to parse those down a little bit? Your proposal delivery, how is that happening? Is that happening, or are you just sending your clients a link right now? What does the booking process look like? And what are those communication touch points that you're sending out? During your trip or during your clients' trips, how are you troubleshooting for them? If there needs to be any troubleshooting for them, are they having support via app? Have you maybe invested in something like on-spot solutions where they have boots on the ground to help them out? Maybe your different types of check-in systems as well. Your post-trip, so what does that follow-up process look like? How are you gaining those testimonials? and your retention workflows. When I mean retention workflows, I'm talking about those little happies if you're sending out like additional touch points that are not just buy for me again or work with me again. It is also, you know what? I know it's your birthday coming up. I hope you have a really great birthday. I also see this as if you are doing anything for referral partners or current clients, like are you having some sort of appreciation? And I know we're going to touch on that coming up. Conducting a self audit as well. Remember, I mentioned most of us have businesses that are very digital and virtual. So your website really is your place of business. So is there mobile friendliness happening on that website? Is there accessibility on the website? What's the page load speed? So I did a little, and feel free, any of these, of course, you can screenshot, but you can see there's this lighthouse test on Google Chrome, if that's the browser that you use. I'm not sure if there's anything else on a different browser, but if you hit Control Shift I, then analyze page load, it'll pull up this report and you can see like where you're doing great on your website, where your website needs a little bit of improvement. If you have a web designer that you work with frequently, you can just send that over to them and be like, hey, we need to do a couple tweaks. If you're your website person, then you might want to make some tweaks on your own end when you have the time. But it's really cool because it'll give you percentages like you're 75%, but you could do a little bit better, or like you're 50%. So that's a little trick for you if you wanted to do a self audit on your website. Then also when you're doing the self audit, really think about how are your clients feeling when they work with you? Are they feeling a little confused because they don't have like a clear checklist of things? Are they wondering like, oh boy, like she told me that she was gonna have this tomorrow or today and I don't have it yet? So are your clients like really feeling supported the way that you've promised them that you're going to be supported? Do they feel like you've listened? Like that itinerary that you present to them, is it a knock out of the park? Or like when you're with most of the clients, is it kind of like, oh, well, I do have to go back and I do have to edit a lot of things afterwards. So are there things with listening that you might be able to improve on? Are you repeatedly having the same questions or issues pop up? If this is something that's happening, this means to me you need to do some more proactive work. So, is there an FAQs page that needs to happen on your website? Do you need to have more touch points when it comes to workflows and task lists to get that communication going so people know at the different touch points? Are you ghosting clients after you've worked with them? Again, just like waiting around, like, okay, they went on their trip, bye. Okay, when are they gonna book again? Well, let's be a little bit proactive about that. So how can you audit your client experience? So I gave you a couple pointers for doing like a self audit. So that really is a little bit of internal reflection that you're going to have to look deep down and be really honest with yourself. Are you doing some of these things? Is there any way that you can be doing it a little bit better? Hold, please. All right. Other ways that you can do this. I love them. Surveys. I like to call them feedback forms because I know a lot of people are a little weird with the word survey. These are very quick and easy ways, depending on how many questions you have. I try and keep my questions to 10 minutes and that they're like a little simple to answer because, again, this is part of client experience, conducting an audit. And if you have like 50 million questions, it's not going to be a high likelihood that people are going to answer that feedback form and fill that out for you. But it is a really, really great way to get client feedback on how their trip went or how they thought the experience was like working with you. Focus groups really give you a bigger deep dive. So I like to kind of couple these feedback forms and focus groups together. So I might run a feedback form 1 month and then a month or a couple months down the line, I'll run a focus group, especially if I find that like there's certain patterns that I wasn't expecting or certain answers that seem like very curious, not bad or good or anything, but I want to know more information about them. That's what I would do a focus group for. And that would be like getting a small group of whoever has filled out the feedback form. If you don't want to do a feedback form and just put people together, especially this might be helpful if like you're new to business and you want to put some friends together and just do a quick focus group on that. I feel like that is also a way. Another really great new to business, and this is what I did when I started Take the Helm, is that I did a lot of one-on-one interviews with my travel advisor friends on the support, the type of support that they needed for their business. Because when I started Take the Helm, I was really starting as like some sort of like operations assistant, a virtual assistant. And clearly, it's very different now. But I wanted to get into my travel advisor colleagues' heads that were booking a lot of business. What is it that you need? Where would you invest in to hire someone like myself? You're not being pitchy at this point. You're just being very curious, listening to their answers, writing down their answers. And for like both of these, if you're doing one-on-one or if you're doing focus group, especially now that we have different AI technology, I would make sure that you record these sessions so that you can get the transcripts from these sessions, and then you can also get the notes. You can also run like whatever transcripts that you get through different AIs like ChatGPT or Claude and tell it like, hey, can you give me like the most common pain points? Can you give me the most common things that they loved about my client experience, and have it analyze everybody the whole session from there. So again, you're working smarter, not harder here. So it is I definitely love focus groups, but if you can get people on one-on-ones, and I have done that and Take the Helm before also, it's a little bit more focused because you're just working one-on-one. And depending on who the people are, I try and make everybody feel really comfortable in our focus groups, but I know one-on-one people are more apt just to spill more things to you there. And then social media is also really great for quick win answers. So if you're doing polls, this is something that I love doing, and being able to like give people a couple different options, and if none of the options like relate to them, asking like, can you just DM me if none of this matches to you and let me know what your thoughts are. So it's like really quick way to get some feedback, especially if it's just a quick answer or a quick thought that you just had. Some of the tools that can help you through some of these items. I've made a list here, but of course you're going to need some sort of form. My preferred form is Google Forms because it's just included in my membership, but there's a couple other forms here. PM means project management. So if you have a tool like, I think Asana might do it, and I know definitely ClickUp does it, Airtable does it. You can have like create a form within those project management tools. Focus groups and one-on-one interviews, pretty similar, where you need like some sort of way to see people. So that can be a Zoom or Google Meet. I love having and using the calendar scheduler Calendly. I know other people like TidyCal, some other people like Acuity. So pick your poison when it comes there, but this is just makes it so much easier for people to get scheduled for these types of events, so you're not going back and forth. And then a little bonus I like is using something called Doodle for my focus groups, because not everybody's schedule is going to work out. So I like to allow people to kind of say like, this is what my availability is like, and then we kind of just go with majority rules when we're picking a time for those focus groups. And then social media, the different tools that you can use, especially within your stories, our polls are really great. Doing direct messages and just talking to people through your direct messages, and then broadcast channels, like I mentioned, that Abstract uses a ton. The other important thing here to remember is your timing. So wave season is probably not the time that you're going to be doing some sort of focus group or feedback form, because it's going to be really, well, we're going to hope it's going to be a really busy time. But maybe you know that your wave season starts a little bit later, so maybe you can do it the beginning of the year. Maybe the end of the year, with the holidays coming up, it's a little bit slower time, so people might be more focused on filling out your feedback forms or hopping on a quick call to do a focus group. So figure out what kind of works for you and your audience, and that's when you should figure out timing. Like, make sure that you are not doing this when you are in super crunch mode. I wanted to give you some starter questions so that you could also have these in mind when you are putting together a feedback form. So obviously, what's been your favorite part of working with me? I do like to start out with pros at the beginning and then like anything that didn't went a little rough, like start out with it's kind of like the happy sandwich. Happy, not so good, happy when you're talking to people. Is there anything that I could do to make the process smoother? And like a lot of these questions have a little bit of specificity also, which I like better than generic questions. Do you feel like I understood what the spirit of your trip was? I feel like you could get goals from here. How would you describe my services to a friend? If you had a magic wand, what would you add or change about my services? What's your preferred method of communication? This can kind of help you like I'm guiding everybody to my inquiry form, but nobody's filling out my inquiry form. Maybe you have to just kind of change how your workflow goes. What's your biggest pet peeve with working with any professional? I feel like you could get a lot of really great answers in here because I didn't want to leave it just as travel professional, but any professional. What trip are you most looking forward to taking and why? Again, we're going to be thinking ahead here. And are there any resources that would really help you out when I plan your next trip? Again, putting in that's a awesome client experience question because you're also showing that you care about their experience and you want to know what you can do to improve it. So please feel free to go ahead. All you got to do is just screenshot these and add them to your own feedback form. And I can't wait to see like what kinds of answers that you get on here. A feedback form is also an excellent way to get some marketing copy and update marketing copy for your websites, for any forums, landing pages that you might have, because they're going to be answering these questions in their own words. And those are the words, if you are writing blogs, if you're recording videos, these are the words, how they frame it is exactly how you also need to frame it in your marketing assets so they know you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly why I hate this, why I love this, why I can't wait to experience this. They'll be able to easily identify that you are the person that they want to be working with if you're using the language. This also helps AI to find you when we're talking about SEO. A couple of other questions that I also like to ask is there anything else you'd like me to know? Normally, when I ask this question, there's not really anything. I do get a couple funny answers in here. I also get a lot of really great, like, thank yous or you're doing amazing work in here. So it's also like just a booster on top of some of the other questions. And then being able to use people's testimonials, you want to make sure that you have their permission. So that's why I add this last one. This form is anonymous, but if you're okay with me sharing your positive feedback as a testimonial for my services, would you mind writing your first name and last initial, please? I like to only do last initial just to help with privacy and all that, but I want the first name so that I can like, it's not like a fake name that I'm putting out there, but I want to make it tangible with somebody's name in there too. So collecting your results, again, if you're using something like Google Forms, like I love the way that they structure their results. Emailing out your form. So collecting results also, like you are collecting the results, but also how do you get the results from other people? Meaning like how do you actually get people to respond? I like to just send out the email form. I like to put this more through email than I do on social media. Social media to me, like I feel like there's more of the masses that are on there where an email form is a little bit more private. So that's why I like just to keep it towards my email list. I also like to send out a ton of reminders. So I do send out, I try at least to like do 4 weeks of reminders because you never know where everybody's at in life. You never know what's happening. Maybe they're traveling themselves. So this gives them more than enough time for them to submit the feedback to you and then export those results into a spreadsheet, like I was saying, and upload it to a AI so it can analyze those results for you. And then, of course, you've got to take action. You can't just be like, okay, I got these results. They're so nice. Highly recommend that you take what you need, leave what you don't. Let's repeat that again. Take what you need and leave what you don't. Not everything that you get in that feedback form is going to be useful or beneficial to you, and that's okay. But take what you need and leave what you don't. Identify what the quick wins are. If people are identifying the same thing in a certain process, like go ahead, like start implementing that ASAP. This could be things like updating your FAQs, your workflows, or your task lists. Spot that recurring language and reuse it in your marketing copy. You can use also what you find within these results to update or create a new lead magnet. You can also, this is gold here, you can jot these ideas down that they might be bringing up as potential content topics that you use for your macro content in the next couple months or the next year. It might also be helpful to use some sort of spreadsheet to help you track your insights year over year. Like I remember last year, there was a lot of feedback that I received in terms of needing to take action and accountability. So that kind of shaped my programs for this year. This year, I'm hearing a lot of feedback on needing help with content creation and lead generation. So those are the things that are going to kind of help shape some of the things that I put out for this next year. And then if you want to go the extra route, schedule the focus group. The focus group, I think, is going to be super powerful. And I don't think you need a large group. I think, even having a small group of 5 people could be really beneficial to hear from. If you've got less than 5 people, it might be better just to schedule one-on-ones at that point. And then showing appreciation, because people have definitely spent a lot of time either taking your form and or joining you for a session. So what's some sort of way that you can show some gratitude? Can you offer like a sort of promotion or a value add on their next trip? Like you're going to make sure that you take care of their excursions on their next cruise, or you're going to cut their service fee by half because they've helped you out with this. Do you want to host some appreciation events? I know travel advisors that will like host formal appreciation events, and some that will just do like, hey, here's a Starbucks gift card. Please just use it once so that we can get more people using this gift card today. So those are fun ways to randomly and also like intentionally show that you appreciate people helping you out with this big project. You can also just schedule some check-ins whenever you feel is like the right time to schedule a check-in. Creating proactive resources. Again, so from that feedback that you've gotten, are there any templates that you can create? Maybe there's packing lists that you can create, and make sure that you send those out with every trip. And then I would also, like this last part, commit to doing some sort of audit on an annual basis, whatever kind of feels good for you, and also what kind of works in your schedule. Again, I feel like this is just so important to continuously improve who you are as a person, who you are as a business owner, and especially the experience that your clients have with you. So I know we ran through a lot. Super huge thank you for being here, being here at Prep for Wave Week. We can talk about a couple of these things later on at Study Hall, 3 p.m. Eastern, if you're in the Study Hall Pass. Or you can also just ask questions in our Facebook group. But I can't wait to see like what kinds of ideas this helps joggle for you when it comes to auditing your client experience. So of course, if we're not already friends, let's go ahead and be friends. I've got a couple of my links. If you're not already subscribed to the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur, what are you doing? I give weekly insights every Friday, so make sure to join me there. And then, because we love a good audit here, I have created something called the marketing scorecard. So you can scan that QR code. I'll have it linked up below. But this is a scorecard to kind of keep track on the different marketing efforts that you have every single week. So at the end of the month, you can kind of be like, I'm not doing really good, or I'm doing really great on these low ticket items, because I kind of assign points to each of these different marketing items. And you can kind of evaluate, like, I'm doing low point items. I really need to start spending more time on high point items. How can I do that more often? So it's a really great way for you to kind of self-evaluate too, and keep track. So make sure that you grab that marketing scorecard. All right, everybody, I have had a blast with you today. Please let me know again if there's any follow-up questions that you have. There are a couple of extra items that you have here. Oh my gosh, I forgot my own secret word. So actually, we're gonna name the secret word doodle because I think like that's a very random, that's a random term that we had in here, but that's one of the technology tools. I almost forgot. I'm glad I remembered. You also have the virtual swag bag to access, and then we have a stellar trade show that is not like any of the other trade shows that you've been a part of, but get into all of the things. We're having an amazing week here, and I'm so glad that you are a part of it. Thanks, everybody.